I'm Jenni Russell. Welcome to Her Health and Happiness right here on UK Health Radio, the world's leading health radio station, now available on podcasts on all platforms. Google, Android, Apple. Which way do you get your podcasts? We are there. How you doing? I hope, like me, you to remember that you are blessed and highly favoured, a magnet for miracles, the solution to somebody's problem, and the answer to someone's prayer. And I started the show last week celebrating, giving thanks for my son, 29 years young. And I recorded the show on his birthday, so it was such a beautiful start to the day. And then Monday, just gone, I celebrated my mum, 87 years of age. Now, any of you that have been listening to my show over the last year and a half, you've heard me speak about my mum's experience going into hospital, and that's the last time she walked. And there were many times last year when we actually thought we were going to lose my mum. But you see, God is good and he has the final say. 87 years. Her Health and Happiness is a show dedicated to all aspects of female intimate health and the whole person and the people they love. And so we had a great interview with Colin McFarlane the other week, and we spoke about prostate health. Before that, I've been talking about the subject, and I started the 3-day challenge. Have you logged onto Facebook? Have you listened? If you go into my Facebook, you will actually see the links for the replays and have a listen. And I'm just going to slip in a couple of lovely voice recordings given to me by one of my friends who listened in and gave me some feedback on day one. So that is, it lets me know I'm going and moving in the right direction. And it's interesting because the medical route is so the first point of call for most people. But actually, as I always tell us, we're fearfully and wonderfully made. We have these wonderful muscles that line our basin, which is our pelvic floor. And they play a major role in our posture, performance, our body shape, in our confidence, in our continence, in our sexual satisfaction. And yet still, when you get big, massive books and encyclopedias and all these things on urology, 4,000 pages, 4 volumes, Campbell's Urology, for instance, 1 paragraph. You've got the ones for the International Continence Society, 2 massive volumes, 4,000 pages, 1 paragraph. So we don't look at the muscular system and what it can do. We look at what pill, cream, vacuum we can use to increase the length and girth of the penis or to dilate the vagina. We look at those things rather than looking at what the person themselves could do and the education. So I'm just going to slip in this little part. There was 2 parts to this testimony. I'll cut a bit out in the middle. But I'm going to slip in the 2 parts to this testimony that Michael shared that I thought might inspire a man or might inspire a lady. Because many times we look for something, it has to be extraordinary in order for us to believe it's going to work. But I did the challenge on Monday, on my mum's birthday, so actually, and I challenged guys to do this first.
Hey, rising blessings, Jenni with an I. How you doing, baby girl? Prayfully you're good, and belated Earthstroke blessings to mommy also. My bad. But yeah, man, I've watched the presentation twice, and I give thanks for all that is within you that you're able to impart it on others, like myself. And I love the is your lifestyle worth more than your life? That's something for people just to really contemplate and understand, that your breath is life and how you breathe. I mean, even me listening to you and from a yoga perspective, doing the diaphragm breathing, when you have people in a meditation and they're focusing on their breath and they're inhaling in and exhaling all that is no longer serving them and what have you, it's just, yeah, you bring me back to that place of awareness and enlightenment where it's like, brother, you know, it's simple things, you know. Do you understand? Challenge 1, I'm on it and I will continue to be on it. You've just reminded me the importance of our day-to-day, our life sustainer, which is our breath. But it's, you know, it's about the breath and also how we breathe. So yeah, give thanks, man. That was great. I think it's a lot for a lot of people, but if you're welcoming of a different path to take, knowing that if you create the right environment for your body will do what it needs to do and it will heal. And it's for people to look, and it's just as simple as you said, is your lifestyle worth more to you than your life? That's powerful, and it is something for people to go away and reflect upon. So yeah, I look forward to for today's Zoom, same time. So send me the link, please, when you're done. But that was great. All right, much blessing.
So I hope you found that useful, men, that you're listening in. I took a part out in the middle because he was telling me about an apparatus that he's bought that he uses and an instrument he's learning to play for the last 10 years. So yes, I mean, I shared a lot on prostate health, and I shared from a holistic standpoint and things for men to consider. But the challenge for day one was to look at your breathing and how you breathe, because breath is life force energy. And in order for men to be able to get and maintain good erections, to be able to have good ejaculation, to be able to have that life force within the penis, within the prostate, within the testicles, you need blood volume. And that blood that blood is carried in the oxygen. So therefore you have to look at life and bringing life into that area. So that's how we're starting the show this week. Just giving you that little testimony and heads up. So the day 3 is today. Obviously, when this comes out, the 3-day challenge has passed, but I gave you the opportunity last week. Did you register? Mm-hmm. Now, what you do have is an opportunity to sign up for the 60 days to remain confident, continent, and sexually satisfied, all whilst improving posture, performance, and body shape. You have an opportunity to listen back if you go onto my Facebook, Jenni Russell, or if you email me, pelvicsecrets@icloud.com. Pelvic, Pelvic, secrets with an S on the end, at icloud.com. I will send you the Zoom link recording so you can have a listen for yourself. Because there's someone around you, male or female, that has a pelvic floor secret that they haven't shared. There are people around you who really don't realize that actually by choosing the medical route, because they won't make lifestyle changes, they are actually saying that their lifestyle habits are more important to them, or the sacrifice of those lifestyle habits seem to pose a bigger threat to them than the sacrifice of the life itself. And we don't look at it that way. And it's not said to make you feel bad. It's just to make us kind of go like, I'm not giving up my cakes and biscuits. I'm not doing this. Look at what it is you're saying you won't give up. And then balance that against what it's costing you to not give it up. Because that's a better way of looking at it. That's the way to make you think, I didn't look at it like that. Maybe I should think differently. And that would really help. But, later on in the show, we're going to hear from, I interviewed a guy last week, and we looked at people that are avoiding eye tests. Now, your eyes are your physical sight you're seeing. You need them. And so eye tests are something that we shouldn't be avoiding. But I interviewed the wonderful Daniel Hardiman-McCartney. I just thought the name was amazing. At the end, I said to him, could you imagine? Someone says to me, what's my name? And I go, Jennifer Hardiman-McCartney. The guy was lovely. The name is lovely. I loved it. So we're going to hear from Daniel later on. But I saw today that in the Times and all the journals of medicine and nutrition, that they're actually saying to you, they're talking about processed foods and saying, you can eat some processed foods. I do eat some processed foods, but I don't use a microwave. A microwave cooks food between 240 and 420 degrees. Most vitamins and minerals are water soluble. So if they're water soluble, it means once the temperature is over 86 degrees, they begin to dissolve into the water. So if you put your food into a microwave and you kill it with heat, 240 to 420, there is no nutrition to extract from the already over-processed food that you now go and make sure it's definitely dead. So the microwave, the only purpose it serves in your house, if you still have one, is to heat your plates. Because there's no nutrition in the plates. There's nutrition on the plates. should you put the nutrition on this. The only thing a microwave should do is to heat your plates. But if you get rid of a microwave, unless you have it built in, again, it becomes extra storage space or another space you can use on a work surface, as opposed to having something that destroys the molecular structure of the food, makes your blood cell counts start to fight inside. Now, journalists, scientists will all tell you that's rubbish, it's rubbish. Who's inside your body? Every food, everything reacts differently in different people. And so therefore, you have to remember as well, when they turn around and they poo-poo this stuff, it's because if we all go in and buy into it and we stop buying it, somebody's going to lose money. We've found a way to make life more convenient, but we've also found a way to make ourselves more conveniently sick. That's what we've done. We've found a way to make this convenient life, this sedentary lifestyle, this parking on top of the supermarket, this not moving, the scooters now, no one's walking, if you haven't got a car, then the cheapest way is a scooter. You don't have a helmet, you don't have indicators, you don't ride with awareness, and you're not exercising anymore, you're just moving. But also you're rotating the body to one side. You're riding the same way and you have a rotation through the trunk. So you're actually creating structural changes over time to your posture because of the way in which you need to stand on a scooter to be able to ride it. You have a rotation, which is going to make a massive difference to your ability for your twisting, to your obliques. The twisting action is involved in every movement we make. And once you have shortness on one side and lengthening on the other side, and your rotation and twisting is out of whack, you are in trouble. So we create things that look like they work, but they cause problems. Even, I drive an automatic car. Even driving automatic and having the knee in one position and the feet, the clutch, the long-term effects of all this movement, the hips, locking the hips in place, sitting in those positions, creates issues for us. We have to know how to open up the hip, because when we're sitting all day, when we're driving all day, in a seated position, we are closing down the hip, which is going to alter the posture. And it's going to cause us issues around that very area, that root chakra, the pelvis, that we're not recognizing. So we need to be able to open ourselves back up, because our everyday life, we are closing ourselves down. And that's why we're having issues in terms of posture and performance and body shape. So we've got to be able to do things in a different way that will serve us better, so that we can be better posturally, in terms of performance, in terms of productivity at work.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
So day 2, yesterday I say for you, but day 2 was Tuesday on my challenge, and I focused on females. I focused on what we need to consider as well. And of course, we also need to understand breath as life force energy, and knowing that there's 2 classic reactions to breathing. It's either to hold the breath, which acidifies the body, so it throws the pH out of whack, and the body doesn't know what's going on, and it starts to react as if it's dying inside, so it starts to attack itself. Or we hyperventilate, but both of those acidify the body and throw out the pH regulation. And so that creates a real big problem for us. So we need to understand that, and that's why they call it a nervous bladder. We have to understand that, obviously, when we're holding the breath, when we're throwing the pH out of regulation, when we're building up the pressure within the abdominal cavity, we're actually making more pressure happen lower down, which ultimately impacts the pelvic floor. But also, we need to think about water, because, as I said, we need blood volume within the vagina itself, within our vagina. We need blood volume within the penis. We need blood volume in the muscles and the arteries and the veins in order for them to be able to work and respond properly. And so water is the second challenge. I challenge people to actually increase their water content, not to be scared to have a pinch of sea salt in their water, because it's the best electrolyte drink, and to understand that. So when we listen to Daniel shortly, I think it's really important to understand that whilst we're looking at female intimate health, the eyes are into me see. That's where that's our visual gateway. And if we start to understand that the eyes are 98% water and 2% sodium hyaluronate and collagen fibers, 98% water. When we understand the brain is 74.5% water, dehydration can have a massive impact on our sight, on our brain function, on our intimate function, on our structural function, just on our everyday movements, even on the composition of our teeth and our mouth and our jaw, and thus how our face looks. So water it's needed, it's necessary. And we need to start to recognize that water is the thing that we need. So we look at what we need. And in the Czech system, oxygen is considered a nutrient. And it carries nutrition to the cells of the body, and it removes waste. That's what it does. And it hydrates the area. Fills it with blood, gives it what it needs. The nutrition is carried in the blood. But water is what we need to hydrate the cells and keep them plump and keep them viable. So think about your eyes. Think about the composition of your eyes. And as we get older, our natural signal for thirst wanes. So we have to now make a conscious decision towards taking in the water that we have so that we're in a better position to have and retain our memory and our focus to offset the brain fog, to be able to see clearly, physically and mentally, to be able to perform well, to be able to have the vitality and the energy. So it's interesting that, going back to what I said at the top of the show, where these studies have been done to show that people that eat more whole foods are more likely to be fitter than those that eat processed foods. I'm like, are you serious? Really? We have been given everything we need for life and sustainability. And we're taking those natural things and mixing them with chemicals and trying to work another way to do it for the profit of our pocket, but not for the profit of our body. And that's where we're falling down, and that's where we're getting ourselves into trouble. And this is where we are being challenged at either end and in the middle, and we're struggling because we don't actually know what we're doing, why we're doing it, or how we're doing it, and for what outcome. And so the more we advance with technology, the sicker we become as people. That's crazy. So the more a country becomes westernized, the more a country becomes sick. So, you got to think about that statement. The more the country becomes westernized, the more it becomes sick. How can we have access to so many things and yet still people are dying prematurely? We're going back to before we had the health service, before we had access to these things. The average age for people was around about 50. Lucky to get to 60. Well, we're losing people. My best friend from college was 47 when she passed away in 2012. The guy I was going to work with this year was 58. My other friend, he got to 66. And I'm giving God thanks my mum's got to 87. Now, the quality of her life has definitely changed. And it's not the same. But is it more for our selfish reasons that she's still here, still brings us joy? We're able to provide for her. We're able to look after her. And we can see now the sum total of what she did for us. And when we all ran off and started to live our own lives and done whatever and went back home less and less, and my dad had moved my mum away from where her sisters were, and she never had lots of friends and connections. That isolation from my mum started years ago, and we never saw it. Now it's a big conversation about loneliness, about isolation. And so in that loneliness, in that isolation, you sit down, you fester, and you eat processed foods full of sugars and stuff. You've got the diabetes. My mum was on an she could have been a pharmacy the amount of pills she was on. And once we started to pay attention a bit later on in the day, and I feel that maybe I should be the most guilty one, being what I do, we brought the pills down. But even, the Mayo Clinic, everyone is finally actually saying it. They're recognizing that Alzheimer's is diabetes type 3. And that's been said, and I've been saying it for years, and it has been said for years. But we need a professional body to say it first before we actually believe it. Even though we have been saying it as professional bodies holistically for years and years, we have been poo-pooed because the holistic stance can never be in front of the medical one. And that's fine, because at least they've caught us up. That's all that matters. You've caught us up. You've caught us up. So if we start to recognize that we're on medication long term, and for the longer we're on that medication, the worse it's going to be for us in terms of what the knock-on effect will be on how it impacts our organs over time. We've got to stop kicking the can down the road when it comes to our health and nutrition, when it comes to our vitality, when it comes to our thoughts or our breath or hydration or our sleep. We've got to stop kicking the can down the road and start saying, right, these are signals to tell me that I need to pay attention to something. I'll give you an example. So about 4 or 5 years, when I first started playing tennis, must be about 6-7 years ago now. And you hit the ball over very, very, like like an elephant on the tennis court. Don't move. Oh, the ball's coming. No split step. So the footwork should be what they teach everyone first. Get light on your feet, be responsive, and that peripheral vision. That's what you need to learn first before you start picking your racket up, to tell the truth, really, if I was doing that, because that will get people to move, especially in later life. So I did a movement. I went across on my knee. I didn't realise I'd torn my meniscus. And maybe I wasn't, really making sure that I was getting the right amount of protein, dense, collagen-rich foods that I needed to stabilise those joints. So I tore the meniscus probably at the age of 52, 53. I didn't want the operation. They're like, you're going to have arthritis. I'm like, no, not doing an operation. I rehabbed it myself. Now, recently, we've had quite a few engagements and this and that and whatever else, and I have been burning the candle at both ends, only as strong as you're honest. And so every now and again, my knee has been giving me a little niggle. It's been talking to me. Now, it hasn't given me no grief for years. I couldn't even bend my leg to like 45 degrees, much less. But now I can do toe grabs. I can lay on my back and I can bring my toe literally to my mouth. I can open the hip up, which I couldn't do for years. So I've got all that flexibility and movement. I played for the team. As I said, I became runner-up in the tennis championships last year. I've been able to do these things, which has been fantastic. But there's a little niggle going on my knee. And that tells me 100% that I'm either not drinking enough, or my collagen density has gone down, or I need to look at my nutrition. My nutrition, my hydration, my mobilizing is there. My flexibility is there. Maybe the recovery or the rest, but I've got to look at, definitely first and foremost, the nutrition. Because if the knee starts to inflame, I need to increase those foods that will bring an anti-inflammatory effect. If I start to get any stiffness in the joint, I need to look at the foods and the lubrication of the joint itself. Maybe look at different mobilizers. So I'm being made aware, and because I am aware, I have the tools, the education to kind of put things into place to make sure that I can offset this going back to where it was and keep myself where I am. And that's the most important bit. Keep myself where I am, keep moving forwards. So when you book in with coaching, when you book on to do this 60 days to remain confident, continent, and sexually satisfied, this is an education of information that is implemented, information implementation that transforms your life, that saves you and helps you to avoid surgery, that allows you to be able to have the vitality, the energy, the intimacy for the long run. And don't feel like it won't happen, and it shouldn't, by God's grace, happen to you if you look at all the principles of total health and make sure that there's an application of implementation for all of them. And if the first thought is, well, she's talking madness, I'm not listening, that's a problem right there. Because the first principle of total health starts in the head. So we have to be able to say, right, I'm open. As Michael said, once you're open to receive, then honestly, life can be absolutely amazing. Men, the prostate was there for a reason. Try and keep it. Females, the uterus is there for a reason. Try to keep it. I understand there are different issues that come around and the heaviness of the menses, but then you have to look at the lifestyle habits first, which are never looked at. They need to come together because you are what you eat. And you are also a sum total of what you also took in utero before you were born, what your mother ate. So let's play a trail and come back on the other side.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
Are you a glasses-wearing person like myself? Number one. And secondly, do you avoid your eye tests? Today, we're going to discuss why avoiding eye tests can lead to some serious issues if we keep cancelling them and don't get our eyes checked. And I'm blessed to be speaking with Daniel Hardiman-McCartney. What a name. Daniel, welcome to Health and Happiness.
Good morning, Jenny. How are you today?
Oh, I am blessed and highly favoured. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. It's a nice sunny day, and thank you for giving us the time to talk about the research we've just conducted.
No, that's fine. It's after my son's birthday, so yeah, I'm happy. So come on. So, I mean, the thing is, at the end of the day, I know like eye tests cost money, glasses cost money, they cost big money if you've got bad eyes. But, that's your eye gate, it's what you see with, isn't it?
You're right. And so at the moment, everyone is thinking about the cost of living. You go to the supermarket, things are getting more expensive. We conducted some research to see how that might be affecting whether people attend and book in for their sight tests. And we found that about 1 in 5 people have considered delaying booking their sight test. And about 22% of the people have admitted postponing or cancelling their sight test appointment. We're really concerned about that for a number of reasons. First reason we're concerned is because the sight test is much more than a pair of glasses, and people might be thinking, I can see okay, I can delay it for a year, but there's lots of conditions that may be detected in the sight test that you wouldn't know about. So for example, glaucoma, it's an eye condition, and actually there's no symptoms in the early stages in it. So it might be invisible to you, seeing the world, thinking everything looks fine, but it's not invisible to your optometrist, who during the test and the sight test can pick it up. The other thing optometrists do is every time they do a sight test, they look for conditions like high blood pressure, diabetes, these things that can affect your general health. So it's much more than thinking about your eyes.
Yeah, we'll see. So the eye is the gateway to the world, right? So that's why you can see those things there. Now, my mum and my dad had glaucoma. My mum has glaucoma. She's dementia. She was having injections in hers, but she can't do anything now. She's bedbound. But so as a consequence, I get the eye test annually because I need to have those checked, which is, like you said, you've got the floaters.
Yeah.
Which is weird. When I had a floater come on my right eye, and initially when it first came, it's not as big as it was, but when it first came, I play tennis. And I kept thinking, I kept going like that. There's a fly or something. It's just like, those things get checked, and then you can check to see whether or not they're getting worse, they're getting better. And I've got a friend whose sister has glaucoma, but she'd left it for so long, and that could cost her a sight. But that's literally what can happen, isn't it?
Jenny, you're absolutely right. So I spend some time in a glaucoma clinic, and about a fortnight ago I was in the clinic and someone had been referred in. and they were a lorry driver in their mid-50s, and they hadn't had a sight test for 10 years. So like, I don't need a sight test. I can see really clearly. Just buy some, reading glasses from the supermarket, and that's fine. And we actually found that he had lost a significant amount of his vision, so much so he had to give up driving and stop his job. So it is a really serious thing we're talking about. And I'm really glad you mentioned the price, because people think, eye care, it's going to cost me a lot of money. But there's lots of reasons why people are eligible for NHS-funded sight tests. So if we just dispel the myth that having a sight test can be really expensive, then that's really important. So number one, you're right. If you've got a direct relative with a family history of glaucoma and you're over 40, the NHS will fund your sight test. So it doesn't cost you anything other than half an hour of your time. If you're a child under 16, the sight test is funded by the NHS. If you're over 60, the sight test is funded by the NHS. And if you receive support like universal credit, the sight test is covered by the NHS. So a lot of people are eligible for completely NHS-funded sight tests. And if you're one of the few people who do need to pay for it, if you look around on the high street, there's sight tests available from £10, £15 upwards. So there's something for everyone out there. It's just you making the effort to book in. And I know your listeners are probably, quite tuned into their health. But if you're listening to this today and, you've got a friend, you've got a grandparent, you've got a relative with dementia or someone like that, why don't you check in with them and say, have you had a sight test recently? And, and just remind them of the importance of it. Talking about children as well, it's a really big thing. So one of the stats we've picked up is that one in five people are concerned that they've had to delay the sight test for their children. Now, that's a real concern, because if you're aged between particularly around 5 to 12 years old, that's a really important time for your eye development, and conditions like myopia or short-sightedness, that's when it forms. And if you're a child and your vision's slowly getting worse and you can't see the smart board and it's a bit blurry, you might think that's normal and you might be really struggling. So educationally, not concentrating at school, finding your schoolwork difficult, your behavior might have changed, you might be more clumsy, and actually just having those regular sight tests, really important to pick that up for the development of the eyes, but also for education, for attention, confidence. You're absolutely right. So parents, grandparents, if you're a school governor listening to this, have you asked your teachers just to remind them in the school, what you're doing to remind parents and children about the importance of regular sight tests?
Yeah, I mean, this is really important. And I think also the other thing is glasses, right? So the thing is, people are worried. I have my sight test, that's one thing, but it's the cost of the glasses, the cost of the lenses. I know as a person, these are my eyes. So I will invest in my glasses, right? I find it hard to change them every year, but I'm like, you change by a tiny bit. I'm like, no, because the lenses is what costs the money. But a lot of, and people want to have designer glasses, but a lot of glasses frames now are beautiful. You can get sunglasses, you can take the lens out of those and make them into clear glasses. There's so many ways that you can get glasses, and there's lots of websites, there's lots of shops that have really nice glasses. And I think you made a really good point, because one of my nieces wears glasses, but she got to a point where she didn't want to have her glasses on all the time. I've always worn them since I was a child, so I'm used to them, and I don't like being without my glasses. But children, parents need to understand the importance. Now, you might sacrifice letting your children not wear them today, but when they get into their teenage years or later into life, that's when they're going to really have a problem, isn't it? Because when their eyes really start playing up and they start having problems, it could be something much bigger than just not seeing.
Jenny, you're right. There's a number of things to unpack there. So first of all, cost of glasses for children. The NHS give children vouchers if they need glasses, which covers the cost of the frame and the lenses. So actually, if you're a parent worried about the cost of glasses for your children, you do not need to worry about it. And there's lots of practices on the high street that will supply the glasses for that voucher that you get. And you're right, glasses are really cool now. So I remember when I was growing up, there was a bit of a stigma, and some parents might think, is there a stigma to wearing glasses? But actually, that's not true these days. And I can tell you, when I'm in clinic, children are disappointed when they don't need glasses. We call it the Harry Potter effect. And glasses are cool, and children like them. They're completely normalized. There's no stigma to wearing them. They're colorful. They're branded for your favorite character from your movies. It's great. It's a celebration. So children, it's a great thing. And you're right. It enables them to see. It helps their eyes develop properly. It reduces their risk of needing to wear glasses in the future. If you're listening to this and concerned about it, don't be. Just go in and have a lot of fun. just looking at what's available. Now, if you're an adult as well, you're right, there's designer glasses, but the important thing is there's something for everyone, and you can spend as much or as little as you want to. It's a really competitive place. Probably most of your market towns near or cities where your listeners are, if you just pop there and visit a couple of optometry practices, you'll be blown away by the selection of choice at every price point. So you don't need to spend a lot of money on really super designer glasses. You can if you want to, if that floats your boat. But there's something for everyone at every price point. And actually, you know, can you remember like in the 70s and 80s, some of the basic NHS type glasses?
Yeah, pink ones, Mr. Magoo.
Yeah, but they're really cool. So all the celebrities want those kind of like really funky, loud, you know, assertive glasses. So there's lots of options out there at every price point. So not a reason to be concerned about. So you can see clearly. Now, I speak to people in clinic and, you know, and again, they come in, they might work on a job where they use a computer a lot, or they might be working from home now and using a screen all the time. Their eyes feel tired, you know, they're rubbing their eyes, they can't concentrate on their email. And these small prescriptions that they may have never worn glasses before, but actually can make a real difference when we're really, putting lots of demand on our eyes to see small things. And we've got lots of advice available for people who use screens a lot of the time. But the best thing to do is to have a regular sight test and talk to your optometrist about it. Because your local optometrist is the expert. You know, they will be able to give you advice. It's impartial. They're healthcare professionals. They will only recommend glasses if they're needed, and they can really help you. So not only see better, not only help your health, but help make your work easier when you're on the screen all the time. And you see it, don't you? Because you're on the screen in the evenings on your phone, your tablet,
That's right.
in the office, and so we're really demanding on our eyes. These days.
I've got the blue screen thing in my glasses, and you're right. So this is the reason why we need to one, look at glasses, and two, then the next thing you have to look at obviously is breath and hydration, because the eyes need that, right? But just a side note, my pastor's son got married in 2016, and his wife bought him a pair of glasses. He does not need glasses, just like you said, the old-fashioned circular glasses in black. And they're so cool, and he wears them all the time. And he just wears them because they look good. So people that are normal, have normal sight are wearing glasses because glasses have become a part of people's fashion, and the fashion accessory, haven't they? They become a part of your outfit.
They have, and they become part of your personality, don't they? And they're wonderful. Two top tips. I'll tell you what, two top tips. So I often say this in clinic. So for adults who use computers a lot, whether you need glasses or not, if you're using a screen a lot of time, we recommend something called the 20-20-20 rule. So every 20 minutes that you're looking at a computer screen, take 20 seconds to just pause, give your eyes a break, blink a few times, and then look at something 20 feet away. So right at the end of the garden away. And that gives your eyes a break, time to relax. It helps optimize your vision. So top tip for adults. Top tip for children. So there's been some really good research about how the eyes develop. And actually, the more time you spend outside as a child, particularly between the ages of 3 and 12, the more helpful it is for helping your eyes develop. So spending time outside, walking to school, playing in playgrounds, not using devices and screens, but spending time outside will reduce your risk of developing short-sightedness. So not only is it good for your general health being outside, but it's good for your eye development as well. So parents, grandparents and things, if you've got the chance to walk your children to school, go to the playground, spend, an extra half hour in the garden kicking the ball around, it's good for lots of reasons, but it's good for your eyes as well. But going back to our research, it is a concern. So we're all worried about the cost of living and things, but I really want to reach out to your listeners and say, when it comes to your eye care, make that one thing that you commit to, because, you don't need to spend a lot of money. There's lots of NHS funded support for eye care, and you don't need to sacrifice your vision, your health, your children's health in this cost of living crisis. Really
Amen. And to really just to wrap that up, because sometimes people say, "Oh, it's not that bad." I've got a lady in my church, and she, because also stress can put a lot of strain on the eyes. She had a really bad breakup in a marriage, lots of things going on, and it cost her sight. And I've worked with some women. I do these challenges, and one contracted polio, another one contracted MS, and she was just making this comment about, well, it's really hard to get motivated, and I get help with a disability badge. And then the one with lost sight said, no, it's like a cover-up. She said, I would give anything to see my grandchildren again. Losing my sight, not being able, from being a sighted person to being a non-sighted person, those things you miss. I remember once on Vanessa's show, a guy talking about missing the way the leaves turn color, change color in the autumn and the beauty of the leaves in the autumn. It's not to scare anyone. It's just to say, take your eye health, seriously, because we really don't know what we've got tomorrow. And woe betide, that would be your portion. It could be nothing worse than that, because we just decided that the eyes can go to the bottom of the list. There's other things that can go to the bottom of the list. And as you just said there, Daniel, going outside, walking, hydrating your eyes, making sure your eyes get hydrated, giving your eyes a break from the screens, because we're a screen nation now, giving them a break really could be the difference to keeping the eyes healthy. Where can people go to get more information?
Yeah, you put it really well, Jenny, there. So we've got lots of information, lots of top tips on our website, www.lookafteryoureyes.org, and that's there. And it's also got a directory, so you can find a local optometrist. But top tips about using screens, about child eye health, everything you need to know is there. But just think about it today. Make that call today. Book in with your local optometrists if you haven't had a sight test recently, and don't sacrifice how well you can see, your general health, or not have those eye conditions like glaucoma detected when you could.
Fantastic. And can we find you on social media with that fantastic name? I love it.
You certainly can. So you can find us on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram. Just search College of Optometrists, and you can find us there.
Yeah, can you imagine someone calls you, what's your name? My name is Jenni Hardiman-McCartney. Love it. Take care, Daniel.
Lovely to meet you, Jenni. Have a great day.
And you, take care. Bye-bye.
That was not a proposal to Daniel, by the way. Yeah, I was not proposing to him. Now, I have to say, I have to apologise for that audio. My iPad, I put the microphone into it, I've got the headphones on, but the iPad really does not have a good microphone, and I'm using the Rode mic as well, so I'm really not impressed with that. But my laptop last week decided it didn't want to turn on, and so I couldn't use the laptop to do the interview, which is why that audio, when I'm speaking, doesn't sound as clear as this. This is great because I've got proper headphones, a proper big Yeti microphone, and it comes out so much better. But yeah, so I hope you found that useful, because, as I said, our eye gates are just as important. And, what happens with the eyes, you can blink, squeeze your eyes quite hard, and every time you squeeze your eyes, there should be an upward movement in your perineum. So that's how connected you are. Your eyes are connected to your gena. They're connected to your pelvic floor. So this is why these things are important, because we think the eyes are so far away from the vagina that there's no connection. Squeeze your eyes. Squeeze them. Just sit on your chair, squeeze your eyes, and the harder you squeeze them, as I squeeze my eyes, I'm not trying to make my gena move. I'm just squeezing my eyes, and I can feel the contraction within the pelvic floor. That is how connected we are, and that's the sensory gateway and the pathways that we need to wake up. Because many people have gone through lots of challenges, they've gone through lots of breakups and hurts and disappointments, and they don't realise that their physical eyes affect their gateway, and that is the gateway that links the inner and outer world. So this is a gateway that links our sensory communication and tells the brain what it's seeing, where to move, how to move peripherally, and whatever else. But when we squeeze it hard enough, it actually affects the pelvic floor, and that's the gateway that links that inner and outer world. So there is a connection that's so deep that you wouldn't even think about. But this is the point. We need to really understand how to know thyself, and we need to be in a position where we can help our health. So my role as the coach is helping you to help your health. And I do that by giving you some unconventional ways to do it, because they work. They work, and they work really well. They allow you to have the confidence that you want in all activities without fear of an embarrassing leak or a dragging sensation, without fear of not being able to perform intimately, without fear of, for men having a flaccid penis or flabby, or not able to get or sustain an erection, to not have post-void dribbling, to not have to worry about, premature ejaculation or poor, orgasmic explosion. And the same for females, to not be in that position where they don't even know what an orgasm is as an experience, which is like, if it's like one of the, it's one of the best experiences in the world. Everyone has their different things. It's in the top 5, but of course that's in the top 5. For me, it's in the top 5 as one of the best experiences in the world is to be able to have an orgasm. But there are many women who have never had that experience before. So there's a lot of emotion trapped in there. There's a lot of stuff to release and to discover about yourself. And that's what I offer on the 60 days to remain or to become. Some people need to become, some people want to remain. And I'm talking about us as we get into later life. So if that's you, to become or to remain, and you really are interested, then email me, pelvicsecrets@icloud.com. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Pelvic Secrets. You can find me on LinkedIn and Facebook, Jenni Russell. And that's Juliet Echo November India. So it's Jennifer minus the F-E-R, no E at the end. You can find me there. You'll see me on Facebook. I'm sitting in a chair with my arms across a sort of open sofa, my head's turned to the side. So that's the picture you have there. On Instagram, it's the same picture as well. Facebook, I'm sitting on the chair in a orange, black and white, vertically striped dress with my hand on my head. These were taken professionally, so I love those pictures. So you'll find me on those things there. If you're my friend and you're on WhatsApp, you'll see me in my yellow bikini, one leg on the ball, one leg on the floor, my Amazonian split stance on a Swiss ball. But until next week, we've run out of time now. So I do hope you found this interview inspiring. I hope that you will consider sending an email. Let me know what your pelvic floor secret is and how I can assist you, how we can make life better, how you can live life better, so that you're not sacrificing your lifestyle for your life, but you're able to help yourself, help your health, so you are happy. So until next week, in Pelvic Floor Health and Happiness, stay blessed, stay well, stay healthy.